Okay. I'm going to tonight. I promised I would show putting on the handle and the spout, but unfortunately, I had a file termite in my computer, and those files went away. They got chewed up somehow. But anyway, I am going to show you how I made that hinge, and I'm going to go ahead and get started here. I'm going to share my screen right quick. Let's see where we're at right here. Here we go. First off, we're going to start with the with how I let's see. Let me get this over here. There we go. Everybody see that now?
Yes.
Okay, great. Now I'm going to get rid of this. All right, there we are. There's all those shiny faces. Anyway, what I did was I from that drawing we did on the first demo of the decanter of the flask lid. I used it to come up with these hinges here. And basically, what I did was I just engraved it onto some cedar, and then I cut them out with a scroll saw, and then I drilled the holes to it. So I'm gonna go ahead and start the video now from that, and um, if you got any questions, just put them in the chat, and we'll go from there. Okay.
Sounds good, Dewey.
I'm
Okay.
gonna turn the sound down just a little.
The end that I made earlier, I found out it was too large. It just didn't fit well. So I made some small hinges. I just outlined the pattern with the laser and then cut them out with a scroll saw.
Everybody see that?
Yes.
Okay. Here we go.
I've got to do a little bit of sanding on them to kind of round them out. Let me put on my magnifying glasses here so I can see what I'm doing.
Volume good?
And
Volume's good.
this is 320. And I'm going to just kind of drag it across there to hopefully, okay. This has got a 16th inch hole through it. I'm going to use some wire as a hinge pin. And it's just rather delicate. So what I'm going to have to do is probably need to soak it in CA to toughen it up, but we're going to try to do it without it right now. Let me just finish sanding on this to get it in shape here. There we go. All right. This one's pretty good. And this one's pretty good. Need a little bit of, okay. So what I got to do, this one goes on the handle. This thing, this piece here. Well, let me get under the camera. This piece here. This piece here goes under the on the handle, and then this curved piece here um, goes on the lid. So what I got to do is I got to notch these such that one fits inside the other. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to sand it away. I've got a flattened diamond bit here. I think I'll try that, see how that works out. I'm going to put it on my micromotor here. And let's see, that's too small. This one here we go. We'll use this one here.
All right, here we start out. This is a very, very tedious process. It's just one of these types of things, when you turn a bowl, you turn for a little bit, then check the thickness, make sure it's right. This is going to be the same type of thing. And so um, I'm gonna speed this up just a little bit in order to, because like I said, this is pretty tedious stuff. So here we go. There's a lot of grinding and sanding and then testing, and it's like I said, it's pretty tedious. So right now we're shaving off each side of this one piece in order to make a center part of the hinge. This little bit does a pretty good job. It's a 60 grit diamond, and really very light touch, and it does a good job of, especially on the cedar, which is so soft. So looks like we're pretty well got it where we want it on this one. So we're going to we got a little bit more to do, I guess, here. Cut edges running parallel with the hinge body, or else it just doesn't fit up right whenever you do the other part. Okay, we're going to I'm going to slow it back down here, and now we're going to do the cut the groove in the other part. And what we're doing, we're using the same burr right here, but it's just not going to be big enough. So we're going to have to switch over to a wider or bigger diameter burr in order to cut this deep enough. So we'll do what we can here. So now we're going to make the switch to the larger burr so we can cut deeper. So these diamond bits are fairly inexpensive. They're not the best quality in the world when you get them at the lower end of the cost range, but they'll do the job for a while. But the diamonds will eventually wear off. So here we go. We're going to try it with this larger burr, and just barely take cuts, very, very little cuts, and very delicate. And I'm going to speed this up because it takes a little while otherwise. So just here we go. I'm going to speed it up a little bit. There we go. There we are. So now just take cuts. You can front cut, you can back cut this burr, and see. Here we go. We're going to try fit. We're going to try fitting, and it just a process. You got to cut and fit, or do a cutting fit, whichever. What we're trying to do is get the holes to match up, and such that and get that slot deep enough such that it doesn't bind up whenever it tries. So here what we're going to do, we're going to try a smaller burr to fit inside those two the two tabs that stick out, and go deeper, because that one burr that I had, we bottomed out on it. So here we go. We're going to just grind away. And you got to just take your time. be delicate. Here we're trying again. It doesn't match up, so we got to go again. Just keep doing. Yeah, if you want to really, I use this diamond because it is more like sandpaper, and it's much more delicate than a carbide bird. A carbide bird is, it would probably tear this thing up pretty quick if I was to try to use a carbide bird. Yeah, you could make a watch band out of these if you're real patient. Um, like I said, it'll take a little while because you got to do each link uh, separately, and so well, yeah, stump cutters are generally, well, some of them are a little bit more aggressive than others. You could um, I've used stump cutters. I like using them, especially for smoother cuts. Um, the some of them are so some of them don't. I get impatient with them sometimes. Sometimes they just don't work fast enough for me. Hello, Joe. Good night, Joe. Have a good night. We won't be much longer with this. Whoops. Hold up. We missed something here. Hold up. All right. Here
Don't
we go.
shorten it too much.
Yeah. Hold up. Here we go. For some reason it stopped. I don't know why. What in the world is the matter with my deal here? Here we go.
This one goes on the handle. This thing, this piece here. Let me get in.
Just a minute. I'm gonna have to. All right, here we go. Let's try it here.
So guys, I'm gonna sand it away. I got a flattened diamond bit here. Just
I'm sorry, folks.
No, you're good, Dewey.
I just tried to put it together this afternoon, and things sometimes you get glitches. We've gone through. Okay, here we go. Now we're getting someplace. Here we go. All right, here we go. All right, we've got them. Okay, we've got them cut and everything. So we're going to put this is just a 16th inch wires, all it is. Uh, that's so put it into gear, and then we're going to put the pin in and see how the swing is. There you go. Now the thing is, see this hinge is going to be in that 90-degree position like that, but we got to be able to get it back to say to a 100 or 120-degree I mean like a 45 in order to end here right now. So we're probably going to have to do a little bit more grinding on it to get it. Of course, we're looking fairly decent here. So we got a little bit of a bind right there where I was pointing at, right in there. So uh, in case you're wondering, the termite ate my audio on this clip. So that's the reason I'm doing my narration on it.
Oh, good.
So, but yeah, we're going to do a little bit more trimming on this so we can get the swing a little bit narrower or wider, whichever way you want to look at it. Now, a person can make these things with if you're with a chisel and a small saw and sandpaper. I tried making one with a little razor saw, and I just couldn't hold on to it. I'd break it. So that's the reason I'm using the carving tool on it to make it's a little easier on the hinge. All right, we're gonna try it up again, see how it folds back. There we go. There we are. Now it's getting better. And a little bit more trimming on it to try to see how tedious this thing is. It's just something you got to have a lot of patience on and be willing to take some time to get it done. All right. Let's try it again, see if it'll bend back. There you go. Hey, now it's working better. That's better. Now we've got to do a couple other little things. We got to on the piece that's going to go to the lid, we're going to have to shape it so that it will fit the curvature of the lid. So I'll be back in a minute. I had to go get the lid. Here we are. There's the lid I made. And so what we got to match two curves. We got to match the top to bottom curve, and then you got to match the side to side curve. So the first thing we're going to do is try to match the up and down curve, and the hinge has got too much curve to it, so we're going to have to flatten it out. So we're going to take the micromotor with a bit in it. We're going to do a little bit of flattening on this. Here we go. Got the same burr that we used earlier, diamond burr. Yes, you can use a wood dowel. Sure, no problem. The reason I use a metal one is because later on, we're going to glue this on with the pin in the hinge. And if I use a metal one, then it's less likely that the glue will mess up with a pin. If I use the dowel, then it's more likely to be glued. You'll see why here in a little while whenever we glue this onto the decanter. But right now we got to flatten this out and well, you can do two things for as far as keeping the hinge in. You can take it out and flatten one end just by tapping on the end of it, or you can bend it. You can bend the pin a little bit, and it will put a little bit of a bow in it, and it'll stay in that way. That's probably the best way of doing it. And then you can just leave the pin in like it is, and if you got a snug enough fit, it'll stay in, or you can just pray that it stays in, it doesn't fall out. Or you can put a little dab of CA on each end of it after you get it put together. And use thick PA. You need to use thick CA so that it doesn't run down into the center of the hinge. Glue everything together. Yeah, you can do that. Cut it short, plug the ends. Okay. We've got it flat enough now so far as doing the up and down, the top and bottom. Now we got to cut a groove in it so that it can kind of conform to the round and round. You know, you could, you could mushroom one end when the pin is out of it. When you have to put the pin in, then you're going to have to mushroom the other end. And you got to be real careful that you just hit the pin and don't hit the hinge. I guess you could use a punch, a concave punch, and it's such that it wouldn't, sort of like a nail set. You know, they have a concave end, the end of them are concave. And so that might work pretty well.
What is the metal pin made from? Is it just a piece of
galvanized wire. It's
okay.
It's what it is electric fence wire is what it is. It's rather.
That's malleable.
Yeah, it's yeah, you can use aluminum rivets. You can. Okay, Doug, have a good night. Sleep well. You're welcome. We appreciate what you do. All right. So now I'm gonna use this burr here to cut the groove to match the curvature around. It's got kind of half moon diamond. You can use a ball diamond. You can use a teardrop diamond, anything that's round. But this was handy, so I just grabbed it right quick. And just work a groove in it. And you can also use a round file here too to cut that groove. So just work it back and forth till you get the groove about the right curvature to put on that put it on the lid. There we are. Brenda, don't harass Matt.
I'm
Nah,
trying to
he needs
feed
it.
Dewey questions that, the things that people will ask,
I think
Doing a
Brenda's
good
an
job, Matt.
I think Brenda's an aggravator, is what I think.
But he already answered that question. He already said what it was.
Brenda's an agitator.
Just pay attention, Matt.
There you go.
I'm paying attention. I'm paying attention. I'm posting links. I'm doing all kinds of things. Come on.
Going to have to double your salary, Matt.
Look at double is double and nothing, still nothing, right?
Don't tell Matt that.
Exactly. Exactly.
It's out of the bag.
And I'm working for you for free.
Well, Menards didn't have a round file. I find that hard to believe. I think they usually had everything in the world. I go visit my granddaughter up in Indiana, and there's a Menards not too far from her house. I have to go there and just walk around and look at everything.
Yeah, it occupies a whole square mile and a half, doesn't it?
They've got the biggest hardware department I've ever seen in a box store.
Yep. Plus, they got a full grocery store in there. There's a round section. It's right next to the square section.
She needs to look in the rough section. There we go. We got it pretty well fitted for this. So next step is to glue this thing on and get it done. All right, it fits up. We're good. All right. Let's go. Well, first thing first, let's put a little bit of 3460 on it to toughen it up.
60. We'll just use that instead. See what we can do here. Oh, that's not good.
And that's butcher paper. It's got a wax of plastic on one side. So it works real well for doing stuff like this. But it doesn't work real well with fingers. But now I did have some other brands, but since everybody seems to use Parfix, I went ahead and used Parfix on this video.
Attaboy.
After I got finished with this, later on in the night, I was watching television and chewing glue off my fingers. But anyway, so there we are. Now, here we are. The lid is taped to the decanter with turner's tape, and I've got the hinge just band-aided to the top there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix up some 5-minute epoxy, and I want to epoxy that bottom part of that hinge to the handle there. That way the rubber band holds it in position and
Here we go.
stabilizes it. See,
Where
I guess Parfix has got more open time than the regular CA. I guess you could probably discuss the various compositions of the various par fixes that are available, what they're intended for. I just had this 3460 there. I didn't know what its specialty was, but I just had it there, so I went ahead and used it. Okay, I'm putting this 5-minute on the bottom part of this hinge, and I'm just going to let it. I'm not going to secure it or clamp it or anything. I'm just going to push it and let it set up. And once it sets up, we'll take the Band-Aid off, and I'm not the Band-Aid, a rubber band, and glue the other part on.
Once that sets up, like I said, then take the rubber band off and we'll glue the other part on.
I already said that once.
Hopefully, the epoxy doesn't get into our hinge, which it might do, but we can fix that. Well, this part is set up, so I'm going to mix up a little bit of 5-minute, put on this part here, and glue that down. Once that sets up, then we'll do a little bit of buffing, and that'll be it. So let's mix it. We'll get a 5-meter function here right quick, and finish this little project up. What we're going to do is put a little, right there. Right there. Okay. And,
No, I didn't have to sand the
Is
hinge
that
after
set
it
up?
dried. No, I didn't have to.
okay. Put a little bit on it. A little bit on the outside here, just to give it a little bit extra strength. A little bit of acetone, clean up the grips.
So I'm going to clean up a little bit here and then let this set up. And I use a lint-free rag on this. Otherwise, if you use a paper towel, it's liable to leave lint all over where you wipe. Put a little acetone in it to help
There we go.
thin it down. So there we are.
That looks kind of sanitary. All right. Get close to the bitter end here, folks. And we'll let that set up, and then we'll be back.
Here it is, already set up, and the hinge works. Ta-da! And that is the end of this video and the end of the whole demonstration. So if you have any questions, any more questions, I'll be happy to answer them. Otherwise, I very much appreciate your attention. And hopefully I leave you more with more knowledge than you had when you first started this series.